Greetings. Welcome to JsGrassFedGarden. If you're new to the channel, thank you for stopping by. Check out some of the other videos, got a lot of good stuff. And if you're not new, thank you for being here still. Your continued support, hey, it means a lot. I still probably would make the videos even if I didn't have any support, but it's good to have people supporting. So I appreciate you immensely, and let's get into it. So rain, moisture, precipitation, very important in a lot of ways. And I've been keeping records of temperatures and most recently rain and any precipitation, really, any form of water falling from the sky. And it started last June. June of 2022. I started tracking the rain. I can't remember why the exact reason was. It just seemed like a good thing to track. We had these really cold temperatures last June, like 44. And I'm going to talk about the temps a little bit more. 44, 43, 48 in June, when it's supposed to be a little bit warmer than that, at least in the 50s at nighttime. So it rained 6 times last June, and I'm just gonna proceed with all the records from June forward. So these are all 2022, and then when it changes to January, that's now current for this year. So June, 6 times. July, 11 times. August, 12 times. September, 11 times. October, 9 times. November, 10 rains, 5 snows. December, 7 rains, 6 snows. Now January 2023, 11 rains, 9 snows, and 4 sleets. February, 11 snows, 10 rains, and 5 sleets. March, 14 snows, 9 rains, and 5 sleets. And April, 15 rains. And now, May, we are about to get our 9th rain of the month tomorrow. So with that being said, I know not every single rain is like a torrential downpour, but if my general area, based on not what anybody else is saying, this is my own observations and records that I've been keeping. Based on them, if we're getting that much rain, not even including the snow and the sleet, how in May of 2023 are the rivers getting so low and we're pretty much going into a drought? And I believe that's actually why I started recording the rain last June, was because we were starting to go into a drought. So what I'm seeing is that even a few weeks earlier, we're starting to go into our dry period. because so this is what happens. So you could just say, let's just say this is the beginning of the season, I guess, because it's the beginning of the growing season. So let's just call it the beginning of the season. We start the beginning of the season off in a dry period. And based on other farmers and humans that I've talked to, it didn't used to be like that. But just a quick side note, this is what it is now. We start off dry, and then based upon how the year could go, there's July of 2018 and July of 2021, it rained basically the entire month of July. So, and we were in a drought last year in July, but we still got 11 rains. So it's like even if we're in a drought, we still get just enough rain to make it not like severe. But my question is, if we're getting all this rain, how is a drought even possible? A, and I have a few things that I can think of. But, and B, I've said this many times and I'll keep reiterating it, but basically the seasons are switching, and they've basically switched now. So the springtime takes colder. There's so many things going on and so many fluctuations happening, but spring takes longer and longer to become summer. It's basically like spring is fall and fall is spring. And then, so the growing season is going through like November. Even, after you have your first few frosts, the temperatures warm back up and they stay moderately warm. But that's another thing too, because we didn't have, last year we got our last frost on May 9th. Our estimated last frost is May 17th. This year, we hadn't gotten a frost since April 26th. It was 31, and now 1, 2, 3, it hadn't gone into the 30s for 3 weeks. So you would think like, oh, we're out the clear. May 17th, on our estimated last frost date, it frosted. It got down to 36, and it's been in the 30s the past 3 nights. So all of a sudden we're getting this shock of cold, and going based off of last year's records, does that mean we're gonna get some more 43, 46, 48 degrees nights in June? And now that the river is getting lower 2 weeks earlier than last year, does it take longer for us to get our fall and summer rains? I don't know. These are all just questions that I'm asking myself, and I thought it would be a good video to just make. I've just been, going through it all in my head, and I need to get it out. And I don't know, maybe you record weather records and you want to share what's been going on in your region. So leave that down below. I know that weather's been changing everywhere, but in terms of growing food, we really have to become resilient. And I think one of the ways that we could do that is saving our own seed. Because last year I planted lettuce direct sowing, not putting out starter plants, direct sowed in the soil around the first week of April, and I started succession planting thereafter. So, and all the lettuce did great. But now this year, the lettuce that I actually planted in March, it was under row cover, But late March, right after we just had like 3 feet of snow melt, March 27th, that lettuce is doing the best. And all of the other lettuce that I've direct sowed after the temps have been warmer and the days have been longer, all of that lettuce is not doing good. And it might just take off, but the lettuce that is one of the lettuces that is doing the best is the lettuce that got overwintered under agribon cover because it had an established root system, and then the lettuce that I saved my own seed from last season. So I'm curious if that is playing a big role, and I guess we'll see as time goes on and I'm able to save more of my seed and then plant it and keep growing it out and see the results. But I definitely think that one of the ways we can become resilient is saving your own seed, because if you get a good developed open pollinated variety, hey, it's okay. Hey, back up, go away from the door. It's okay. If you get a good variety, open pollinated, that's been grown already for a long time, and save that seed, maybe it's a seed company from your state or your area, that way it's already adapted to your area, and then you save it and grow it in your soils, it's just going to get better and better every year. Another way I think that we could become resilient is by keeping track of the records, even though it's going to change a lot on a year-to-year basis. You could be, I'm starting to be able to have, records 3 years back, so I can kind of go back and look like, hey, this happened during this month, and this was different this year. So it's kind of cool, and then you can kind of work around that, but like I said, it's going to be ever changing. And then I guess if you're in a northern climate, one is just having a greenhouse, and then two is maybe just having like row cover, agribon cover, or remay out all season, because you just can't predict what's going to happen. Even though it was, check out July of last, there's an airport near, small, it's 46 for the low 1 week, and then 46 and 68, and then the next week it's 91 for 8 days straight. So in keeping, one of the things that I talk about a lot, the whole basis of the grass-fed system, is keeping your soil covered. Because if we're going into sporadic droughts and then just getting sporadic amounts of rain, it helps retain the moisture, and that way, if you're in a drought, it's going to help the plants grow with whatever moisture is there. Your soil is just not going to become completely dried out, and then it becomes all cracked, and then the soil's blowing away because it's lost all of its structure, and then your plants die because there's no moisture. So, and it's keeping all the soil life healthy and happy, and they're able to eat the grass for food, and their digestive systems give you fertility in return. On the flip side, when you get a large rain, it's going to be able to retain all that moisture, and not just have all of your soil wash away. It'll be able to slow sink into the ground, because the soil won't have dried out completely because you've had a layer on there. I don't know if that makes any sense, but so those are some ways that I think we can become resilient. I know there's many more. Maybe you have some ways. And yeah, those are just a year. It'll be a year in, I guess another month to complete June, and we'll see where we're going into. But by the end of August last year, it was basically just serious drought. So there's a thick layer of grass on the garden, and we did just get a freeze, and a lot of stuff had gotten shocked. But I'm saving seed off of spinach, off of radishes, lettuce, mustard greens. So far this year, everything that will be going to seed soon, and those will have seen all of the fluctuations since they've been planted. And then they will be grown out again either later this season after they mature, or next year. And that will be, they would already have seen a few months worth of all of those fluctuations, whatever the weather did. So now when they're replanted, whatever fluctuations they see again, that'll make them more adapted and resilient in theory. So, One Love Wholeness. There's some crows fighting out in the back. And stay tuned for some update videos coming soon. So One Love Wholeness. JsGrassFedGarden. We out.